All right, all right. What's up, fight fans, man? Let's get into a conversation, a quick, real, down the earth, serious conversation. And this is coming on the heels of Brian Norman Jr. suffering the first loss of his career and being dropped for the second time inside of an official fight. Not sure what happened in the gym or sparring. Has he ever been dropped? Has he ever been hurt? But this is the second time in his career that he's been dropped in the fight and early in the fight. So he got dropped against Boca. What was the name? Jalen's son, Boca Chico, however you say his name. He dropped him in the first round. Devin Haney drops him in the second round. And I was going back to watch that knockdown because I remember I was saying early in that fight, I think somewhere it might have been even the first round, where Dev pops him with a jab and it rocked him. But even before Dev dropped Brian Norman, there was a hook that Dev threw in this fight that sent Brian Norman on Queer Street. Had Brian Norman shaking his ass and shit, doing the Tootsie Roll. And then Dev hit him with the two-punch combination that solidified the knockdown. But it was a punch right before that. So it's three punches in that sequence. The first punch that was delivered in that three-punch sequence, it rocked him. Send him in tap. He put his tap dancing shoes on. Start wobbling and shit. Then Dev hit him with the final two. And boom, that third one collapsed him. And the brother was hurt. But in some of these fights, I remember seeing in the past where you hear instructions that are given to Brian Norman. You hear from his father. And I remember hearing other people, especially a lot of the people are more veteran who cover the sport of boxing that will speak on this, is that you see some of the limited information that comes from Brian Norman. Now, Brian Norman Sr. has got him to this point, but if this dude is a campaign against more serious champions, like, and I know people say he earned a championship belt and this and that, but he earned the title through whackness. He earned the title through fighting absolutely nobody. There's very weak spots in becoming a champion inside of the sport. And I ain't gonna just say it's this era because I think there's all eras to where there's certain people who go after the titles, get a title. There's vacancies, and these are people who are not of the level of some of the more uh, uh, elite guys, some of the more gifted guys that are out here. So he ended up accomplishing the title through someone that was not of the level, and I think that his father having the abilities to train him to get to that point. But I think as he goes up against some of the more experienced guys with some extensive amateur background to him, having deeper pedigree. Um, there may come a time to where Brian Norman Sr. has to concede to that, or even go the Devin Haney route, finding other people to bring in that trains him, that gets him up to a point. They may have to copy what works for Devin because Bill Haney still sits in the corner. Other guys gets Dev ready for these camps, and maybe that's the route they have to go. Or maybe it has to be a guy that's in the ring giving better instructions to the fighter, that the fighter knows what to go in and work off of. Because they went in there rocking with the fact that, he can knock any of these guys out. And that was the thing. Going in here, trying to deliver things on power. And now when the power becomes nullified against an opponent who can take that shit, and now you have to go in here with an opponent who is punching just as hard as you, or hitting you to a point to where you're not accustomed to facing that kind of power. Now it makes you a little bit hesitant on trying to get your offense out because you have laxed on things you should have worked on as it pertains to boxing. Now, so yeah, Brian Norman was knocking out a lot of his opponents. So this belief in being knockout artists is something that they kind of fashion themselves towards, being that they have gone on a list of knocking and stopping people. They have been knocking and stopping people, consistently. Like there's a long streak of just continuous knockouts from the guy. And so power was the thing that he relied on, and believing that he was one of the hardest punches in the game. Now, the guy who ended up, I was about to say who beat Brian Norman, but the guy who dropped Brian Norman a while ago stated that Brian Norman power ain't really that. And the dude was even saying Brian Norman is one of the small welterweights, and his power ain't there. They believe that. And some of the guys he knocked out, yeah, it was to them. He's put people in the hospital. uh, this and that. But I wonder what would have happened to Brian Norman if they had ran up that tree and Boots had took that fight. Boots probably would have drugged this dude all across the ring, let alone, and not to marginalize Devin Haney as far as whether or not we don't know who would have did it in greater fashion, whether Boots would have had a tough time with Brian Norman. So I don't even want to, I reject that comment. I don't even want to put that out there to act as, oh, Dev did this to Brian Norman. That means Boots to do this. Shit, Brian Norman probably go in there and knock him. But I really believe Brian Norman may be too small for these dudes. He may be too small, but that doesn't mean he can't develop his skills. And I wonder, could it be that he's kind of reached this point to where he's limited, and now he has to do with what Lennox, coach who brought Lennox up in the game, and hearing Lennox speak about, how of an honorable decision that was from Lennox's coach to state, listen, son, I have gotten you to this point, and now I have to fall back because where I want to see you go, I just may not be able to get there just off the experience, but I'm gonna pass you over to these dudes who can help you get to the top of this mountain and shit. And that was probably one of the greatest decisions made for that dude. Adrian Math says, very good fight card. Says, good fight card performance. Says, could be the best card of the year. I don't go off the best fight cards of the years. I don't think hell no, I ain't gonna give it that shit because I thought the opponent Bam fought was garbage. And I thought Benavidez' opponents in Anthony Yarde was garbage as well. And like Benavidez said, they keep giving him trash ass opponents. Even Benavidez knows that shit. I ain't gonna call this the best fight card of the year. Absolutely not. But like Benavidez went on the tirade yesterday and calling out Dmitry Bivol, who he stated has ducked him. Dmitry Bivol has a kind of a history of ducking some of these challenges to his career. He ducked Arthur Beterbiev for a long time. He's ducking Arthur Beterbiev on that trilogy. And Benavidez has been calling him out. Benavidez has been training with him, and he doesn't want to fight him. He's going to sit out on injury. He's going to do a Keith Thurman type thing. So, yeah, this wasn't the best fight card at all. Was some of the performances and finishes electric? Absolutely. But Benavidez did to Anthony Yarde what I think everybody expected. The dude that Bam fought, that fool was garbage, man. That fool was garbage time. Abdullah Mason, his fight was electric. Devin Haney shit, definitely electric. But the fight card, I ain't gonna give it all that. It wasn't boring though. It wasn't a boring fight card. But the best fight card, I don't know. I don't know what's the best. Boxing still got a lot to go in its growth and maybe its repair that Turki Al-Sheikh is planning to bring to it. Maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't. Hopefully these fighters start taking pride in what they're doing out here. Just like the dude who with Dula Mason. Dula Mason and them took pride in being young fighters the way that they fought yesterday. Dula Mason did not walk out that ring without a scar. Devin walked out the ring without a scar, and he was facing the champion who came with limitations because that champion and his trainer decided that they were going to be knockout artists and they can knock anybody out. They decided that, we can punch harder than Ryan Garcia, and that means we're going to knock Dev out. So all we're going to train on is knock him out. Then got in that ring and found out you're not strong enough. You're not strong enough to do any of this. And you're not strong enough to move Dev. Like I said, throughout that damn fight yesterday, as far as Brian Norman, I'm thinking they're stronger and Dev is weak. Anytime Brian Norman tried to wrestle Dev immediately did some old Bud Crawford ass shit all throughout the fight yesterday on Brian Norman. He yoked Brian Norman up when Dev was in that corner and pivoted on his ass. Now Brian in the corner, and that ref, I ain't gonna put too much on trying to bash his ref, but that ref in those moments is pulling a lot of bullshit, going in there and immediately breaking the fight anytime Dev pivoted Brian Norman Jr. And then Brian Norman got away from boxing. He started trying to damn bulldoze Dev. And it was ineffective. For one, you ain't getting the punch off. For one, the round's about to end because you spend 2 minutes of doing that shit and you haven't landed a punch. And then when you get to where you separate and throwing punches, you can't even land on the guy. Brian Norman punch stats were ridiculous. His punch stats were ridiculous as fuck. He threw like 400 something punches and only connected like 50 of them. And what connected wasn't even solid punches that they probably just count. Now, I know Dev landed more punches than that punch that shit gave him, but he wasn't wasting a lot of energy. He didn't have to throw off a lot of shit. Agent Matt says one thing for damn sure. Says Benavidez is that boogeyman in boxing. Yeah, that's for sure. Says I clearly said performance-wise, says so far this year. But even with Benavidez happens to just come up at the right time to where all the guys who are real serious threats to him, they're old. Is there a younger fighter on their way up that is out there on the horizon for Benavidez? That's only to see. David Morrell was thought to be that dude, but Dave Morrell had this kind of thing going that Brian Norman had, that he believed in. The same thing that J. Rock Williams and them had, that they believed in. The same thing that fucking Erickson Lubin had, that he believed in when he fought the other Charlo brother and got his ass crushed. Same thing Fernando Vargas had, thinking he was this shit and trying to rush in the shit, and Oscar De La Hoya crushed his ass. Same thing with Anthony Douglas and him running into that White Tyson dude and getting his career wrecked. And the same thing with Dave Morrell. Going in there, they just setting Dave Morrell up. And that's why I hate that matchmaking shit. That matchmaking shit needs to be pulled from boxing. I think it is one of the worst things done in boxing, and it does nothing. Same thing with fucking what's the other fool? The one who fought Canelo, thought he did something. Then he got his ass whooped by Turkey Arab dude. What's the little Puerto Rican motherfucker out of New York? He was knocking everybody out. He was top ranked dude. He's knocking everybody out in the first round. Berlanga, thank you, Alexander Wilson. Berlanga ass, the same thing. One of these young motherfuckers rushing their way up, but getting match made. And Top Rank got this motherfucker with all this bullshit and this hyping little weak ass fans up. He up there getting some first round knockouts, and then as soon as they make him go up one more level, he in there biting the motherfucker. Then he ain't knocking nobody out. Then he getting dropped and shit. Then he got his ass plumb knocked the fuck out because all he thought he was a knockout artist. Same thing was happening with Tio. Tio was the same other motherfucker. That's why that power shit and knocking out people shit is some of the wrong shit that people buy into. You knock a motherfucker out, move past that shit. Don't never be happy with that shit. I ain't get enough off. I ain't get enough rounds in. The same thing that affected Wilder was that power shit. I only got to be right for 10 seconds. Oh, no, for 1 second. What the fuck are you talking about? You got to be able to fight if you can't get that shit off on somebody. Made it Tio start having struggles. He in there knocking everybody out, exciting these old weak-ass crowd of motherfuckers who only want to do stupid shit. Because motherfuckers just want to shake their ass at everything. Nigga get a dunk in the game, the crowd in there shaking their ass. Oh, shit. Nigga get a knockdown. Oh, everybody shaking their ass. But the nigga lost. Get the fuck out of here. And then Lycian Cletus says Bivol would be a stylistic nightmare for Benavidez. I don't know. They gotta fight. Fuck the nightmare shit. Put him in a ring. That motherfucker big, just as big as that dude. His hand speed is ridiculous. I don't think it'll be a stylistic nightmare, especially if the two guys know each other. He speaks about all the times they share in the ring fucking sparring. There ain't gonna be no nightmare. He may be a nightmare for Bivol ass. He may be a nightmare. His defenses are getting better and shit. His footwork is getting better. The hand speed is still there. And the power may have increased. He's definitely gotten stronger and shit. He's definitely taken his training better. Because he was a young fighter. Benavidez was a young fighter. If he did not got caught early on when he got caught, and he ought to thank the damn agencies that caught him with the cocaine shit, them suspending his motherfucking ass, to where now he has to have this little sit down with himself and begin to question and answer those questions of self on whether or not he wants to do this shit, and to clean himself up, getting off that cocaine and shit, stop fucking over, not making weight, and that motherfucker serious and locked in on that shit, man. He in there punishing cats, and the fact that a lot of these cats are becoming older, and a lot of them are less experienced than him, and the fact that he's naturally bigger than them, and that fool, that fool's in the driver's seat right now. He's in the driver's seat until a real challenge comes up there for him. I ain't saying he untouchable shit. And then Velocity says up, down, left, right, says leave you on the says leave you on the flow. Says Norman Jr. says should have practiced more for real. Or got some new coaching, got some more new coaching shit. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is it time for him to replace his fucking father? That's what's the question always comes up anytime a fighter lose who's being trained by their father. Is it time for him to remove his father and find somebody else to work with? And Light Skin Clear said, not do it to where him and his father are at odds with each other, but to really think like, man, we may need to take a look at how Dev and them doing this shit. Light Skin Clear says Benavidez says we'll be off balance all night. Off balance from who? Bivol footwork ain't that damn great. Shit, what's the name? Dave Morrell thought he was gonna have that footwork advantage on Dave Benavidez, and then he found out Dave Benavidez's footwork was unlike what he's seen, and as well as his defense and head movement, and the fact that he's a strong ass dude. And then and the Pittsburgh T says everything needs to be looked at. Says everything needs to be looked at when you lose. Says, but they said the same thing about Bill Haney. Says Norman is a young fighter. Says, and so is his father at this level. Says they both learned. We're gonna see what they learn moving forward, but they gotta get into a certain caliber. They can't be fighting in this caliber and thinking they learning something. They need to go out here where these challenges are. And they took a major step up. And if they want to be champions, they're going to have to take these step ups. You about to have T.O. and the fucking Shakurs. You're going to have a lot of skilled guys moving into this ranks and shit. And if you only relying on knockout power and thinking that you had the power to knock motherfuckers out, shit. Who he says? Same bands, Marty Rosian says just passed away from cancer. Damn, he was young too. That fool was young. And then says, oh yeah, that was Berlanga. I was talking about the other young fool. Velasquez says, not gonna lie, cuz says shit is hilarious watching the crybabies rejoicing like they won. For real. It was one fucking fight. They better calm down on all that celebrated shit. It was one fight, and the motherfucker who won it was the only one in the ring, not these motherfuckers. But I get where they coming from. I ain't gonna lie, I get where they coming from is being fans. But see, that's the thing that fans do. They're super newly found fans and not really Devin Haney. They in there on Bill Haney's job. But the fact that, people talk so bad about Devin Haney, counted Devin Haney out, that's part of the sports thing. It's what people are going to do. But these dudes are so emotional, and it struck a chord with them that now was celebration time for them. And I don't knock that shit. But I was like, because on the other side of that shit, if Devin would have lost in the way that people were thinking that it could have been possible for him losing, the possibility was there. They would have been crying and butthurt than a motherfucker. So them celebrating, I understand that shit. Alexander Wilson says Berlanga was struggling against C-level competition. Facts. Remember, he bit a motherfucker. He ended up biting a motherfucker. Alexander Wilson says Shakur is going to make T.O. Look like a Norman. Says going to make T.O. look like a Norman against Haney. We're going to have to see in that shit because on one end, T.O. can pull out that motherfucking ace card and show that he can box. He can box, but he going to have to get in there and exchange too. And then Nas Racing says the way them LWC Nut Riders act like BOTB says Emmanuel Stewart is insane. Oh wait, I'm lost on what you're saying. Says the way them LWCers Nut Riders act like BOTB says Emmanuel Stewart is insane. I'm lost on why you put is Emmanuel Stewart insane. Alexander Wilson says when he said he signed to fight Zurdo, says I was like, who asked for that fight? Man, for real, I thought that was a joke. Says boxing can't help self-destructing itself. That was some bullshit. But then it goes into what I was seeing where he went off on Dimitri Bivol and all them cats. Is it the other cats ducking him and shit? Is it these other cats ducking him? Is why he got to take Zurdo whack ass. Zurdo is garbage. Who whooped Zurdo ass? Somebody have beat Zurdo up. And then Velocity says Bud, Bam, and Benavidez says never losing. I wouldn't say all that shit because it's maybe we don't know because Benavidez got a long career left. We ain't no telling what happens, who he faces and shit. And then OGPG says yes. And talking about Brian Norman replacing his father. Alexander Wilson says the ring just announced that Vance Martirosian says just passed away from cancer. Says that's shocking, man. These diseases and shit, man, is a motherfucker, man. This cancer shit. You know what's the other crazy shit? Is that stroke shit. I see so many people that have caught strokes and what strokes do to motherfuckers, and especially in their memory and shit, and the fact of what causes that shit. And it's nothing worse than when you seeing a person that's recovering from that shit that loses that function and mobility or ability to speak, they memory be gone. That shit be hurting those folks that go through that shit. That's why it's a lot to that health. That's why I think a lot of that mental shit, mental health is important because I think it bring on a lot of that shit, stressing and all that other shit. That's why I be like, man, I mean, I'm quick to tell motherfuckers, fuck you, man. You ain't about to stress me out. The fuck out of here, man. I love me and I can enjoy some me time like a motherfucker. I don't rely on other people, the company of other people. Like hell fucking no. Even with relation, I was laughing the other day. I was watching the interview. I was watching Back on Fig, and they had that crazy motherfucker. What's that fool name? He talked the same way I talk about relationships and marriage. That fool, organic. What that fool name? Mr. Organic and shit. He say the same shit I be saying about that shit, and he lived that shit on top of having money with that shit. Man, he ain't about to let nobody run you and this and that shit. That shit brings about a level of stress that will kill a motherfucker. You worrying about other people. Your approval is based on the approval of another motherfucker that you don't approve yourself. That goes into why Floyd and them thrive off of labeling himself as being TBE because they ain't waiting for nobody else to crown that shit. Carissa the same way, but she be on some more ignorant approach to that shit. Like, but that all that kind of shit will stress you. I'm pretty sure stress brought about this cancer to this motherfucker. Unless he smoked, he is one of the more Middle Eastern motherfuckers that believe in cigarettes and shit. The Vasika says no. Says he needs. Says no. He needs his father. Says bro. Norman Senior way too focused on trying to be famous in the YTBC. Shaking my head. Yeah, that too. I think that affects a lot of these fathers who like the attention. This YouTube shit, they love it. Vasika says 78 Cuck TV says brought CC and Black Fight fan out of hiding. Says CC low key looking like Megan Thee Stallion, man. Oh, they was on 78 show today. I'm gonna have to go check it out. That's that drop that what they call that straight drop. Alexander Wilson says Bibble best Zerto up or beat he meant beat Zerto up. Oh, that was Bibble that beat Zerto up. He beat him bad, right? He whooped on him bad. Yeah, I remember that shit. But I couldn't remember who the fighter was. I know somebody whooped his ass. And I want to see what Southpaw got to say about the Dev fight. Let me see. Let me go to. I want to see if Southpaw gonna give Dev his credit. Are he still talking about Elwood Henderson, motherfucker? Are he gonna start shitting on Brian Norman? He says, oh, I here we go. He says Devin Haney rules it. This nigga is a super. This fool is a super Dev. This motherfucking Southpaw boxing is a fucking fool, man. Here's the motherfucking video. Oh, let me put this shit on this screen. This nigga is comedy. This motherfucking video. So now that Dev that embarrassed, because I know he's talking about Dev being knocked out. This nigga video says Devin didn't finish. Says he can't finish. Devin Haney ruins entire card. Underwhelming. This motherfucker is a fucking hater, bro. Underwhelming performance, man. It's fucking an idiot, man. Oh my god. I was wondering he gonna say, man, I was wrong. Give Davis credit. That motherfucker said that nigga underperformed. He said that fool is whack as a motherfucker, man. Yeah, I'm gonna watch 78 other videos. The one he said they brought them out of retirement and shit. But that motherfucker Southpaw is fucking hilarious. That nigga is straight up comedy. And the fact that he another one of these people on here who loves to bash a lot of these other fighters because a lot of these people too caught up in that fandom shit. It's just way too much fandom with a lot of these dudes. Way too much fandom, and I don't rock with that shit. You know, it's fighters out here, but fighters you rock with, man. But these niggas be on that super fan shit. Like, man, hell to the nah. Fuck no, man. These fighters is cool and all that shit. Some of them, but all that shit worshiping them and shit, and going into spats with people over a fucking fighter. Like, man, you gotta be a fucking homosexual to be riding with these damn dude fighters the way that some of these fools do. That's even like that, the people how they be with the sports teams and all that shit. Be overboard with that shit. These motherfuckers is crazy. But folks, that's all I got. I'm about to get ready for this Cleveland game. I want to see what Shedeur gonna do, what this whole ass Cleveland coach gonna have him as far as play calling. You know, I look at the Baltimore where did the Ravens win? The Ravens gotta get rid of that coach. Man, that coach is trash in the Ravens. But how the fuck you not running the ball? Let me see how many runs they gave to Derrick Henry. Hold on, let me go look at this shit. I looked at it earlier about the at halftime. Derrick Henry only touching the ball like 5 times. This motherfucker and you don't hear them giving that dude Caleb Williams his credit over in Chicago, huh? You don't hear these, and because y'all listen to these ESPN hoes. Y'all listen to these hoes off ESPN. They ain't giving that motherfucker Caleb Williams his credit in Chicago. Chicago been trash for fucking the last 40 years. That fool holding the helm over there. Jameis Winston done came in fucking New York. He holding it down and shit. Let me see what's his stats today. The Chiefs is sliding, but the Chiefs facing the coach today. So if they lose that one, I mean, you ain't that's just a tough game to be in. Okay, so now I see Baltimore is up on the Jets. Because early on they was were they losing? I think they were losing, or they were tied up against the Jets earlier. But here go the Bears. The Bears have the ball with 5 minutes left. Let me see. Caleb Williams, 3 touchdowns, 228, 22 yards on the ground. They got a backup in because Aaron Rodgers, old retarded ass, is hurt. And I don't know why the retarded ass fucking Steelers brought his old fucking decrepit ass back into football. But that's what happened when you have certain complexion and shit. They bring the old tired motherfucker back into the game to waste time and take other younger people's money. Let me see what Jameis doing. Jameis he got 1 INT. He got 343 yards. Let me see. I see they brought some other quarterback in. They brought a receiver in who threw a touchdown. So he did a little trickery there. He ain't been sacked. So his uniform been clean. Goff been sacked 3 times. Let me see what Jameis got on the ground. 2 carries. All right. Let me see what the Ravens do. What the Ravens switched up. Did they start getting the ball to Derrick Henry? But they need to fire that coach. That coach needs to go. So Derrick Henry got 21 rushes now. So now he start touching the fucking ball. He got 2 touchdowns. Like, I don't understand why that stupid ass coach was not giving this dude the fucking ball. You don't not hand the ball to a motherfucker. How big is Derrick Henry? He like 40, 250? Let me see, 252. Man, you fucking dumbass coach. Give this motherfucker the damn ball. That fool ought to be number 1 in carries in the NFL. Like, come on, dude. I don't know what that fool Harbaugh doing. Alexander Wilson says Norman had no head movement. Says R couldn't get his head off the line. Says he was so easy to counterpunch. Says he looked almost novice level in there. Absolutely. And he says Southpaw says I haven't seen one of his videos in like 5 years. Says I dropped a lot of boxing challenges because I think most of them are whack. Yeah, they too much fanboys. They don't even cover boxing. They be on one fighter nut sacks, or they hate another fighter, then they go at each other and call each other sellouts because you supposed to cheer on who they like, and they got to select who everybody's supposed to like. And if you like another motherfucker, you hate, these niggas act like straight up bitches. They act like the baddie TV show bitches that be in the house just to fight with one another. We're like, man, these hoe ass motherfuckers, man. We live in a world full of hoe ass people, though. But folks, that's all I got. I'm gonna catch y'all on this next one for this Cleveland game to see what this sorry ass coach who Cleveland needs to fire, or the NFL needs to snatch the ownership away from the Cleveland Browns. But let's see what Shedeur do. Keeping it super honest with Shedeur. He looked like trash. We're gonna call him as trash. But he got all the first team starts. We're gonna see what he do. Hopefully his offensive line hold up, because that's what is most important in football is that line. But they give credit to these clown ass quarterbacks. But we gonna catch it. Catch you on the next one in a few. Peace.